Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on a United show today, Devil's Advocate. And this evening, I'm joined by three very good guests here this evening. So to the right of me, I'm joined by Eoin from the Cockney Red 99 YouTube channel. Below, we are joined by our newest contributor to the United show, Devil's Advocate, Mr. Greg Chambers, who made his first appearance on our call-in show there last Tuesday. And beside Greg, we are joined again by Jamie McCoy. He's making his return to Devil's Advocate. And for the first time in a month, his return is like the Royal Rumble, number 30, like Mr. John Cena himself. So Jamie to make an appearance here today. So, as the thumbnail says, we're here to discuss all things Manchester United, and most importantly, tomorrow's big fixture between Manchester United and Crystal Palace. I think for all Manchester United fans, it's kind of great to have a game of football so soon after that kind of I'd say, I won't say dull affair, but I'd say a very weird game on Sunday. Against Chelsea, the game against top six, another 0-0 draw. It wasn't as bad as the game at Old Trafford, but my God, it was another game against the top six where you need your pillow and blanket to go to sleep. It was one of them. But Eoin, coming to you first, looking ahead obviously to Crystal Palace, big game for Man United. Big week almost. Obviously, we Palace, and we have obviously the other team across the road on the weekend. Looking ahead to Crystal Palace, obviously started the season, we played them, lost 3-1, and obviously Man United we lacked a full pre-season then, and Crystal Palace took advantage of that, hit us on the break, and it was kind of one of them games where it was one of them kind of freak fixtures at Old Trafford that we haven't seen in quite some time. Obviously, with Spurs and all that after that. But in terms of that game, do you maybe think we can lay that in the back of our mind? So considering we didn't have a pre-season at the start of the season compared to everybody else, and that game, will that game have any significance kind of coming into tomorrow night's game?
No, I don't think it will. I think it was at the start of the season. You've seen how bad City were at the start of the season as well. I think us and City both had the shortest breaks with the way we went on in the Europa and the Champions League. So that we were always going to have bad starts to the season. In the most likely terms. And yeah, I think we can be able to move on from that. It looks like Zaha is going to be fit for tomorrow. It's sort of still up in the air. He's back in training, so if he's missing tomorrow, that's their big man missing. But they obviously Palace deal with a lot of threats in terms of Eze as well. Batshuayi is there, but he doesn't seem to get a game much. And I mean, you see the way they played against Brighton the other night. They, absolute rage and FIFA moment there. Really, that's what it seemed like. I think they had two shots on target the whole game, win it 2-1. Just a bit of a shithousery team, and I can't see. I can't see anything but a United win tomorrow. To be honest, I think the games like this midweek, especially with the way we're playing at the moment, I think Cavani probably comes on late in the game as well, and gets fit for Sunday against City. And I think we'll be able to deal with them pretty well. Empty Selhurst Park. It's normally a tough place to go, but there's no fans there, so I think we should win this one comfortably. To be honest, mate.
Yeah, I think when you look at this game, like obviously you said it, like Selhurst Park is historically kind of a tough enough place for us to go. When you're there, Palace fans, like it's a fortress, and the atmosphere, real tight pitch. The fans are hopping. It's one of them grounds where it's like one of them traditional old English grounds where you're in for a tough day. Like no matter what time of the season you're going, and even though like
an absolute tip.
Yeah. But when you look at it, like it's one of those grounds where it's a tight pitch. Everything like everything is pure squeezed in, and you take one bad touch of the ball, the fans are on top of you. It's one of them grounds, like I think when you look at this game, United are a team now who I think we're under pressure this week. I think you look at obviously the Chelsea game, 0-0 draw. Then obviously you look at Palace, and then we've the other club across the road from us. Like when you consider that, we need to win this game, and we need to win this game comfortably to give ourselves a bit of confidence going into the derby on Sunday. And like again, with the lack of fans there, we seen when we went to Selhurst Park last season that we played quite well there, and we won quite well. And you know, I suppose for Aaron Wan-Bissaka had been a good weekend good game for him, to get a bit of form going. Because obviously it's against his former club, and if Wilfried Zaha's playing off the left, it's a good chance for him to pocket another quality midfielder before he pockets Raheem Sterling again, though, for like the fourth straight game running.
I mean, the City can change their whole team, mate. They've got about 6'11s, the amount of players that they have, so they'll probably just drop him in preparation. Oh.
Yeah, they will. I think Raheem Sterling will probably want to play on the right and play against Luke Shaw, but Luke Shaw will probably pocket him as well. But I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to go there because I have a City fan coming on Friday, so that debate is coming on Friday. Trust me, you know that. What's coming there.
Is that the one that was meant to be on last time?
No, that's not that City fan. Yeah, he bottled it. He bottled it that day. But with regards, Greg, to this game coming up, obviously Manchester United, we've had a couple of injuries in the last kind of couple of weeks. Most notably, like back in the squad now, obviously Scott McTominay came back over the weekend, and Donny van de Beek was in the squad on Sunday. Obviously, the game, no shock there. Edison Cavani as well, who Kev mentioned comments in terms of being probably our only natural striker in the squad at the moment. For you, would you like to see maybe Donny come into the team this game, because Palace are a team who are going to sit back? We need maybe a midfield player to break the lines, or do you maybe think coming back from injury, is it probably too soon to maybe see Donny van de Beek come into the team?
I think the issue with Van de Beek is he's not, even the games he has come in, he's not been at the level that he has to be at to sort of play there. I made the point before that in that 9-0 against Southampton, I think he came on at 4 or 5 and he looked the most invisible you possibly could at 9-0, and you're not going to get an opportunity more like that stares you in the face more to say, right, go out there and express yourself, take control of a game, shows what you can do. Because he's had games, and obviously he's done it at Ajax, playing brilliantly. So maybe he is, like, he will get there. I'm sure he will. I don't think tomorrow would be the game to play him in. I can't see Bruno being dropped at all. It's still a Premier League game at the end of the day. And we need to score goals, because we didn't score obviously on Sunday. We're not going to be the favourites going into to Sunday against City either. I can't see Van de Beek playing really. I can't see Bruno being dropped. I could see a very similar midfield to what was played on Sunday. Maybe Matic coming in for Fred, being the only one if Matic is fully fit to play. But I can't see Van de Beek playing. Not quite yet. I think he'll be utilised against AC Milan, but I don't think tomorrow will be the game that he plays in.
For me, I personally, myself, I can understand where you're coming from. Like, a couple of games when he has got his chance, he hasn't really taken it by the scruff of the neck. But like the way I look at it is, it's kind of hard for you to play yourself into a bit of form when you're playing one game a month. Do you know what I mean? Almost, it's kind of hard to kind of play yourself into a bit of form when you're playing 1-2 games, maybe max a month. Like match fitness, match sharpness isn't going to be there, and that's across the board in any level, whether it's top level of Premier League or they're playing amateur football. That's the case. Like, your match sharpness just won't be there.
I think a lot of people jumped on the Van de Beek issue really early. When we bought him, I think the Eredivisie season was curtailed at the end of February. So when we bought him and he was ready to play his first game, that was September. So it was 7-8 months from when he last played a game of football. So it was always going to take him a few months to ease into the squad and actually get game time. Maybe now into the new year, he should be looking to try and utilise his squad a little bit more, see what quality he's got there to play with. But we don't know the ins and outs. It might be a case that he's not training well. He might just not fit the system, or he might not trust him to play the position that he wants him to play. He might want to try him alongside Pogba if he's back on Sunday. We don't know. He's obviously showed that he's good enough, and he will get his chance at Man United. I think more so it was going to be, or what I thought certainly at the start of the season, was he was coming in to make sure we already had that backup for Pogba when Pogba inevitably left. Whether that still happens, I'm not sure. Maybe that's thrown a spanner into the works of all his plans. But he's definitely good enough. I would like to see him play, but not tomorrow. I think tomorrow's too important to chuck him into a big game that we need to we do need to win, because we still want to win points. We want to pull away from Leicester. Sunday was a good chance to do that. Chelsea weren't great. I didn't think we were much better, but I didn't think Chelsea were brilliant for having a £260 million attacking midfield. I thought they'd be much better on the ball. Like, the game was played at really good tempo. I didn't think they were brilliant. So Chelsea Sunday was a chance to win a game. We didn't take it, so we need to win tomorrow. So I can't see Donny playing then.
Yeah, like for me, I personally want to see him come in alongside the Man U match tomorrow, because, like, look, let's be frank, let's face it. Like, I think Ollie will probably revert back to McFred on the weekend. It's most likely going to happen. Like, McFred's probably going to start, right? As much as we disagree with it, right, it's probably going to happen on Sunday because he goes for that midfield pivot in the big games against a team that's going to park the bus and try to hit us on the counter attack, and Joe, who's going to sit in that 18-yard line. I think you play the Man U match here, and you play Van de Beek and Bruno tomorrow. I think because you go out, you take control of the game, you win the game. I think that's what you have to do. But again, we might only see, you're probably right, Matic probably come in tomorrow, and maybe McTominay beside him, which, look, I wouldn't disagree with that either, because McTominay, if Matic is playing, it gives McTominay license to go forward, and because Matic can play the sitting midfield role. Whether people talk about his legs being gone, I can understand that, but he's the only specialist defensive midfield player we actually have. Because McTominay's not a defensive midfield player, he's a box-to-box midfield player. Fred, I don't know what he is. I think he's just a midfield player. He's just a player, and like
he can't pass, he can't shoot. He just wins the ball. That's all he fucking does.
He does.
That's all he does. That's all he does is donkey work. It seems to be. How he wins the ball, I never know. Honestly, where did he learn to play football like that in Brazil? Like, what was going on that week? Honestly,
it feels like, did you see when he took the shot on Sunday with his right foot and it went in?
Ollie was laughing, taking the piss. It was like, that shit. You know, when someone who you play with at school or on your team, and he's shy and he has a shot, and you all just have a little cheer. You're like, oh, it's close. Like, that's what it feels like when Fred has a shot. That's actually what it feels like. It doesn't.
For a couple of seconds, I did think it was in. I did think it was in for a couple of seconds.
You just know he's going to score a careless in though.
Oh my God, like, no fucking way. Like, it was one of them things. But Jamie, just with regards to this game, like, obviously people talk about Crystal Palace and people talk about their pace up front. Eoin mentioned earlier on, obviously Wilfred Zaha being back. Eze is a great player. Batshuayi is a player they have in their squad. Benteke, is he fit? I don't know. And they also have Jordan Ayew as well, who actually played very well against us in the first fixture as well. So they've plenty of threats, players who have played well against Manchester United in the past. For you, like, does Eric Bailly come into the team field tomorrow? Because people talk about the Lindelof-Maguire partnership, Lindelof having back issues at the minute and probably can't play 2 games a week. And again, as I said, Lindelof's a trusted defender for him and probably will start against Man City on the weekend. For you, does Eric Bailly come in as centre back tomorrow?
I think if it was up to me, he would, because I feel like we're going to have to take the impetus and like bring the game to them, because you know what you're going to get at Palace. They're going to have 2 banks of 4 out of possession, and they're going to try and hit us on the counter attack with the pace on the wings, which could potentially be a route forward for them. So we're going to need a little bit more creativity, and I feel like if we can play a higher line, because we're going to want to play higher up the pitch to put a little bit more pressure on them and play in their half. We're going to need that pace in to get back in that space. If you've got the likes of Zaha, I don't know if he's fit myself. I was having a little look around the internet today, but I couldn't really see much. They've got like Eze, players like that have got like a lot of pace in behind him. Like Zaha is one of the best wingers in the Premier League, in my opinion. And his pace will definitely give us trouble. So I feel like to counteract that, you do need Bailey in the team. But it would just be typical of Ollie to play Lindelof and Maguire against a pacey team. So you never really know what defensive partnerships play. And you know Harry's going to play. It's just who plays with him. But for me, it's a no-brainer to play Bailey, but I would start Bailey in general. Like, I know Ollie does prefer Lindelof, and I did think Lindelof and Maguire were good against Chelsea. I don't think they've done too much wrong. Bit shaky at times and patches, but that's going to happen. Lindelof's he gets bullied too easy for me, and I think we need a little bit of physicality, particularly if you're going to play up against the likes of Benteke, Ayew. Can't think off the top of my head who else they have. That's Sola. I think they have a striker, don't they? A big post striker. So they're going to be physical. You know what you're going to get against the Roy Hodgson team. So hopefully Ollie can sort of. Sure, they've been working on something, but it's the first thing I look at when United's team comes out. Who's the centre back pairing, and then you kind of know what sort of game plan we're going to play. But Bailey has to start tomorrow for me, just purely from a pace aspect.
Yeah, I think from the pace aspect, like if you're going to try to nullify the any bit of threat the Palace have, you played Eric Bailly as centre half and you play Harry Maguire, because at least then like Harry Maguire's lack of pace doesn't get found out, which it did in the first time we played him. And Eric Bailly, look, he's our best centre back anyway. Like as Kev says in the comments there, Bailly on the team sheet before Maguire. The only reason Harry Maguire plays is the £80 million fee. I do not disagree with that one bit. Absolutely, he's. Only because that transfer fee, he's in.
Sorry, Keane. You're gonna need to counteract their strengths, and their strengths is aerial ability. So Maguire will be able to bring that to the table. Maguire's good in the air, and defensively he's very good from aerial balls. And then you've got to counteract the pace aspect. So it's a no-brainer for me that Maguire starts and Bailey starts. But as I say, I've kind of mulled over. Like formations in my head and thinking, right, well, they're going to play that and we're going to have to play this. And I thought Bailey should have played that the weekend because I thought they were going to start Werner, which obviously they didn't. And I thought, well, Bailey's got the pace to match him pace-wise. And obviously they started Giroud and I think Lindelof did all right. But Lindelof's definitely going to play against Man City. Like there's no doubt about it. He'll definitely play with Maguire against Man City, and I'm expecting to play against Milan as well. So surely Bailey needs to play this game, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was something different. So who knows? Twanzebe could play. I'd be really shocked if he did, but it wouldn't surprise me because you never know who's going to start in that centre-back position unless it's a bigger game, and you know for a fact the bigger games is the four players that are definitely playing is McTominay, Fred, Maguire, and Lindelof. Yeah, five Bruno, but me defensively. I think Matic will play as well. I agree with you on that. And I think he might play McTominay just purely for physicality reasons. They're quite a strong team in the centre of the park with that. I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name. He's their captain, but he's quite a strong midfielder. They've got some pretty athletic midfielders, and I feel like he'll probably go with Matic and McTominay just for physicality reasons.
Do you mean Milivojevic?
Milivojevic, yeah, he's a striker. I actually quite like him, to be fair. When I've seen him play, he looks a pretty quality player, but I feel like Matic and McTominay is the natural players to put in there if you want a bit more physicality. I know Matic hasn't got the legs, but he can use the ball well. He can block off passing lanes, and you've got McTominay for the physicality and the legs. But I agree with you to an extent, Keane. I think like maybe someone a bit more like comfortable on the ball, like a Donny. But I also agree with Greg that he's probably not quite there yet. So it's a difficult one. Ollie's got a couple of hard decisions, but I don't see him playing Fred tomorrow, and that's why I've kind of went with that midfield. I've kind of got my team together.
I'd be shocked to see him because obviously Sunday, when you look at Sunday, that they're certain. They're certain to start in that regard, and that I suppose not lighting up the move. But Paul's just in comments there now. Manchester City have just taken the lead. Wolves have scored no goal. Thanks very much, Paul, for the fantastic news of
I bet it was Conor Cuddy
winning again.
Bet it was Conor Cuddy. He's a Scouser. I bet it was.
There you go. Enough said there. Scousers winning this season, lads. You know yourself. But kind of moving away from the game just at the minute. Jadon Sancho, another player who has been on the lips and minds of Manchester United fans since last summer. The rumor mill is heating up again. in the last kind of couple of weeks, and with regards to the Jadon Sancho deal, regards to Dortmund now look like they're lowering their asking price to 90 million for Jadon Sancho. He's
so
recently
cheap, man. So cheap these days. Lowering their price. What good people they are.
90 million for Jadon Sancho. And you also you look at the other news that's there as well. Funnily enough, him and Paul Pogba were both in a advertisement deal for Pepsi there yesterday. If anyone who's seen social media, seen the two of them tagging each other and all that and stuff. Funnily enough, Andy Mitten broke news last night that Paul Pogba is open to contract negotiations with Manchester United. Funnily enough, that's in around the same time as the advert for Pepsi came out. So I don't know what happened there in terms of the timing. Was that leaked to Andy Mitten? I don't know, but you know, the timing of both of them things happened quite perfectly. So, like, in terms of the Paul Pogba kind of contract news, he's open to negotiate with Manchester United in terms of maybe signing a new deal. Jamie, I'll come to you first. What do you make of that? Like, do you think is this maybe a calling card to your club to say, come get me, or like Man United are offering me this and this, or do you maybe think, is he serious about maybe staying at the club and seeing kind of the progress we've been making this season?
I think the only two clubs that Pogba realistically would go to is Juventus, who they let me down on a few quid at the weekend, which I'm still gutted about. But I feel like they're the only team that's available out there that he would be willing to go to because he's been there before. And Real Madrid, I can't see both of them clubs affording him. So for me, on a sort of personal point of view, I hope he stays, because I do worry about our creativity when we don't have him in the team. Like, I know Bruno does his thing and that, but I mean like at a more deeper position. And I see a comment earlier that I agreed with to a certain extent, depending on the games, that United should be playing with only one defensive midfielder. Now, that's the goal. I don't think we have that player in our squad yet. We're going to have to go and buy a defensive midfielder, because our players ain't defensive midfielders apart from Matic, who doesn't have the legs and he can't play 2 games a week. So, like Eoin said, Keane, what am I on about? Fred doesn't have a position. He just wins the ball back and then doesn't really do much else with it, unfortunately, which is frustrating because he looked like a really good footballer when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk. So it does shows the levels when you come and play in the Premier League. But Scott McTominay is not a defensive midfielder. He hasn't shown me anything that he can play that role going forward. He's too attack minded. He's not
box midfielder, Jamie. He gets for his goal. Gets involved.
Yeah, he's not. He ain't going to play that position. So we're going to have to go in the market, and I think the end goal is to play one defensive midfielder, but we're going to have to buy one because we don't have one. So it's a case of, without Pogba and next to that sort of more deeper play, I do worry because I feel like he can sort of take a bit of pressure off of Bruno. So I hope he stays. I really like Pogba, you know, like I've given him so many chances, and he's had these circus acts and that. Don't get me wrong, and if that all stops, then great. I mean, I can't carry on with that. That's going to keep going every year because it's just a nightmare. But I feel like if his head's on it and he can't get the move to Real Madrid or Juventus, and we're not going to get compensated well for his services, I feel like there is potential to keep him at the club. And me personally, I would like to see him play, because I feel like he was playing some really good football before he got injured, and our form probably there's probably a little bit in there why we've not picked up some points in certain games when we've just not been able to have that creativity aspect from Bruno because the other teams have swamped him. And that's when we need another outlet. And the wingers ain't been playing very well for United. The striking options at the moment's an issue. We don't have an out-and-out goal scorer. We don't have a particular centre forward when Cavani's not available. Tony Marshall's just not even going to get started on him. So, like, there's a couple of areas we need, but I feel if we can keep Pogba, that definitely sort of adds a lot of quality to the team. And I feel like he was just starting to peak as well, which is a bit frustrating, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I was going to come to Dylan's comment here with regards to Fred and what his role is. So, like, Dylan has said, Fred is similar to
disrespect Herrera like that. That is.
I was just about to say that. I am in agreement, Stone. I'm going to say it straight to you. Herrera scored goals in games.
Don't disrespect Ander like that. That's
Put it back up a minute. I missed it.
absolute rudeness, that is, mate.
Basically, Dylan has compared Fred to Ander Herrera. Like, no. I'm in complete disagreement with that. It's going to come to a couple of comments here with regards to the centre defence midfield position. Paul has said he'd love to see Wilfred and Diddy at centre defence midfield at Trafford. Great footballer. I don't know if United go back to Leicester, considering they pulled their pants down for Harry Maguire.
Not a chance.
I'd love to.
I wouldn't. No.
I mean, I'd love to get with Margot Robbie on a Saturday night. It's just not going to happen, mate. like Ndidi to United, like it's going to cost 100 mil. Like it's just no way is that happening.
And the Eamon says here, go buy Declan Rice to that position. We're all over the Irish situation now, ish. I don't think Owen is yet. I don't think Owen's ready to welcome Declan Rice to the club. Do you know what, Eamon, though? I said this the other night in the podcast, and I said it today in the group chat to the lads as well. I think with the way Lingard's playing with West Ham, you can use him as a bargaining chip for the Declan Rice deal. Maybe offer 50 million plus Jesse Lingard to get Declan Rice in. Do you know? And I think like he's someone who has done fantastically well for West Ham. Even though like, look, I do not agree with his international allegiance, what he done to us at Ireland. I'm still not over that. But like, great footballer. But I would welcome him at Old Trafford because at the end of the day, he's still a good footballer, and we need a defensive midfield here. So I would definitely take Declan Rice at Old Trafford. Saying that though, there's other players out there such as Zakaria, who is maybe another player Manchester like maybe going forward. There's other Bissouma, though players like that. There's other options out there. If Man United want to dip into the market in terms of midfield players. Kev says here in the comments, Pogba, Bruno, Van de Beek running right in midfield is what dreams are made of.
Too similar. Too similar players.
That's a pure feeling.
There's no defence.
Yeah, you got to have a balance to your team. That doesn't work.
It would hammer teams it would hammer the rubbish in the Europa League early doors and stuff.
It's the sort of thing people play on FIFA with them for.
100%.
Where you're 2 or 3 goals down,
it wouldn't work.
Attack. Yeah, that's what that midfield is basically. Yeah, like look, Greg, I suppose like coming back to Jadon Sancho, like one of the comments up there said you need someone for Sancho to assist. Obviously the Sancho deal may be done this summer, and looks like if Dortmund lower the price tag, United are open to do the deal. But for you, like you look at Edison Cavani, there's talks of maybe getting a 1-year extension on his current contract, and as a kind of as a stopgap to maybe to go in for a striker in the summer of 2022. We should be happy to keep Edison on for an extra year to maybe facilitate maybe an extra year in Greenwood's development, or maybe go out and get another striker next summer.
I think the number one priority for Ollie this summer is absolutely going to be a striker. Like I think he's seen how much we lack goals and how much we lack anything in that area of the park when Martial plays without and Cavani doesn't. There's just nothing there. Like there's someone with their back to goal that then passes it 5 yards backwards, but he just gets it and passes it immediately straight back to the person that's given him it, and there's no movement. He's not pulling defenders either side. He's not making the runs or anything like that. I think it'll be Ollie's number one target will be just a lights out striker that's going to finish everything. I think the Sancho, what it sounded like with the Pogba thing, obviously you saw them teasing it on Twitter. What it could be is maybe Pogba's had some promises made to him and things like that. That if the new contract is signed, then we would look at getting these new players, working with Sancho and things like that. So if Sancho was to come in, obviously if we were to get a striker, we're not going to go and get someone like a Haaland. That's not going to happen the same summer. Although I do think Dortmund will sell Haaland this summer as well. But we definitely need another striker. I think Cavani's good, but relying on Cavani to play 30 plus games a season is at 34 going on 35 is going to be far too much for him. And then Martial's just not good enough. What Martial is now is Rashford's backup, which is fine. It's a great backup. Like you look at City, they've got 2 brilliant players in every position. Martial as a left winger is excellent. Martial as a striker is awful. And if he can accept that he's going to be a left winger, he's going to want to challenge Rashford for that spot, then that's fine. But I think we'll 100% prioritise a striker, and we need to prioritise a striker in the summer. I would say we probably need that more than the right side, more than the right winger. But that, I think a striker is a must.
Yeah, like I think what United may look at that though, because obviously if they go for Sancho this summer, like Dortmund won't want to sell the both of them, and Haaland has that release clause in the summer of 2022 as well, so that United can maybe get him for slightly cheaper. That's obviously providing that maybe City or Chelsea don't go in and buy him this year. United might look at that release clause next summer if he's still at Dortmund and maybe look for him there. Yeah, but look, I suppose like striker and right wing are definitely the two positions United need to look at. Obviously, probably for me though, the main priority, if I had a choice in terms of what I'd do in the summer if I had to pick two positions, for me it'd be centre midfield, defensive midfield, and centre half for me. And like to win the title and need to challenge the title, you need a strong spine, and we simply like we don't have that at the minute. I think that's where we're struggling in them two key areas, and we're like scoring goals isn't a problem this season. We're the top goal scorers in the league, for crying out loud. Like, so scoring goals isn't a problem to a certain extent. It's at the back.
Yeah.
At the back is a problem, and that's why we're not being able to attack in games, because Ollie's afraid of the ramifications of playing a high line when you start Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire. So then again, you have personnel like Eric Boye there to play there, so you can have that argument too. Why does he play a quick centre back
I think on Sunday we played a higher line than anyone was sort of expecting. Like, our centre backs were pressing really well, and Lindelof I think Lindelof was probably one of our standout players on Sunday, playing that high line. So I think maybe obviously he's not going to be the starter alongside Maguire, because Maguire's going to start. Maguire's our captain. He was £80 million from Leicester, and he's a good defender. He's just not very good with the game when running away from the game. If he's running towards his own goal, he's not very good at all. If the game's in front of him, he's fine. He's calm on the ball. He can play a pass. At least he's in the position to make those mistakes. The issue that we had with Jones and Smalling for years is they weren't anywhere near the position to even make the mistake or get in the way, or for it to take the random deflection and go in off his leg. Like, I would rather that than my centre half not be anywhere near it. So Lindelof will be fine, like as a rotation option. But yeah, there needs to be a centre half that comes in and just sort of takes control and takes the pressure off of Maguire, because Maguire, every time that Lindelof seems to get the ball, Maguire just runs around. I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't look like he can organise really either. Like, that sort of back four, we need a centre back to come in and who can organise that defence and just whip it into shape a little bit more.
Yeah, and look, it's just one of them things where we'll see where the club are at. Like, obviously there's the COVID market to think about, like how the impact of the COVID-19. We're going to see now later on this year, kind of in the financials, like how badly that's going to hit not just us, but absolutely every other club. So be interesting to see kind of how that impacts our summer transfer plans. I think that's something we do have to take into consideration. Maybe as bad as it is to say, like, maybe we might have to be more patient in the summer in terms of our dealings. We might have to get rid of a few players before we actually sign a few. I think that could be a very harsh reality in the summer.
Yeah, but
I don't think Ollie's
more youth players getting promoted. Like, you see Jimmy Garner out on loan at Nottingham Forest, and he's absolutely doing bits at the moment. I think he's got like 4 man of the matches. He scored the other night as well. As in, you've seen Chelsea do it with like the likes of Tomori and Mount. They went on loan to the Championship, came straight into the first team. They were capable of doing it. I think if not straight into the team, but gradually weed him in, I think Jimmy Garner could do a job for us in that holding midfield role.
He played well for Forest against Derby tonight. He actually scored a very good goal as well. That was a very, very good finish.
He's the Birkenhead Busquets, so that's what he is. The Birkenhead.
There you go. And do you know what? We're going to clip that one off. That's definitely getting clipped up there now. Especially
mate, I'm telling you now, James Garner, Birkenhead Busquets, future United holding midfielder, and I will happily say that. And I will happily have that tweeted at me when he's playing for Luton in 4 years' time. But I have a tremendous amount of faith in James Garner, and I honestly think he could solve our defensive midfield problems. I've really liked him since he's come through, and he's been highly talked about by everyone. He was unlucky at Watford because they change their manager every 6 days. Like, that's just what happened there, really. And he's gone to Forest. He's absolutely tearing it up. I think he could come straight into the squad, man. You seen Reece James do it from Wigan into the Chelsea first team? Don't see why Garner can't do it, man. No one's talking about him at all. Doing my nothing.
Yeah, he is a good player, and they can playing good stuff for Forest. It'll be interesting to see kind of how he gets on now for the rest of the season. But another defensive midfielder we have in their squad within our ranks is Eoin Galbraith as well, and he's a fantastic footballer. I do highly rate him. He's a very good player. He's someone who can maybe challenge that defensive midfield role as well. So, like, Harrington is producing yet again, guys. I think we can all we can all agree with that too. I know they talk about the Masia, but nah, it's like Carrington, lads. It's like Carrington. The Carrington's producing all the good.
It's just Carrington, mate. We don't need to make it a bit continental. There's no need. It's just Carrington.
Lamasia is dead. It's hardly produced really anything.
Who's Lamasia producing? Like Alex Tellers?
Yeah, not anymore.
Not Alex Tellers. What's his name? Oh, what was that?
That's what I said. I just had to bring up like Carrington. I had to label it that too, just as a little dig at our brothers across the pond, for not producing that, and they're in the mud. So just had to get that dig in there.
Tello, that's who I meant. Christian Tello. I think he's like one of them.
Tello,
yeah, that's
Sergio Roberto. Those are the last. Those are like the two. Because I don't think
Christian Tello, Bojan, like it's very average sort of players coming out of there at the moment. It's nothing.
Not Fatty's come out of there recently. But guys, just before I come to obviously all of our starting 11 predictions for tomorrow's game, I'd just like to touch on something obviously about the weekend. So obviously we did 0-0 draw against Chelsea, and a very kind of dull affair against Chelsea. Not many big chances in the game, and it was just another standard game against the Big Six. But obviously there was an event in that game. Manchester United were attacking, and Callum Hudson-Odoi handballed it, clear as day. He looks like he was doing the Daniel Sturridge dance with his handball movement. But looking at that handball, obviously the decision went to VAR. The referee went to look at the monitor, clearly seen the handball, and says to, allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly here, says to Harry Maguire that if I give that penalty, it's there's going to be a lot of talk about it in the media. I can't give the penalty. And Luke Shaw obviously came out after the game. He's in an interview with Sky Sports, and he made everyone aware of the referee's comments with regards to it. And there was a lot of talk that Luke Shaw was going to get a ban for this. Obviously, it's come out then yesterday that there's going to be no action taken against Luke Shaw or Ollie for Ollie's post-match comments as well. When we look at this situation with the FA on, and this, with regards to the referee botting it, and it's clear, obviously, that the referee has done something, something wrong. Hence why Luke Shaw hasn't been banned for undermining a referee's position on the pitch. Do you think this is time that maybe the referees in the Premier League need to be replaced? Because obviously there's many big decisions, like not even so much United. You look at the Brighton and West Brom game on the weekend. Referees having a nightmare, and they're consistently having nightmares this year. Like, I don't think VAR is the problem. I think it's the referees who are using it, because you're looking at the leagues like La Liga, Champions League, Serie A. Like, you look at all these games where VAR is being used, and it's been used quite well. Whereas you look at the Premier League, it looks like they're miles behind in terms of VAR, in terms of the referees. And kind of, what's your take on the whole situation?
I mean, it's very rare. You see a handball, 99 times out of 100, he actually hits their arm. It never actually hits it hit his actual fucking hand. I don't know how it wasn't given. And in terms of that, when you're just talking about looking at refs now, and I seen a point on TalkSport, I can't remember who said it, but in terms of the referees doing interviews after games to explain what they're doing and to explain their decisions and why they made them, and I just can't see that happening. I don't think refs will, and I think refs are sort of like just removing their accountability of the decisions and just sort of placing it all onto VAR now. And it's just, but they're sort of blaming it on VAR, whether they look at the monitor or not. It's frustrating, but I just can't see anything. Something has to change, but I can't see anything changing before the end of the season. Personally, I mean, VAR has been kind to us certain times, and it's been against us on other times. And I just think it slows down the game. I think it's horrendous. It's just dreadful, especially at Old Trafford, because they haven't got a big screen and it goes to VAR. You don't have a clue what's going on. On a lot of grounds as well, you don't have big screens. You don't know what's going on. Like, you're just basically waiting around for 2 minutes for a decision to be made in Stockley Park out by Heathrow, which just baffles me that they picked a random office space in the middle of fucking nowhere and just stuck a couple of referees in there. And it's just so weird. It just doesn't make any sense. It slows down the game. Everyone gets frustrated about it. Everyone gets angry about it. And it just needs to be it needs fixing. And the problem is you need much clearer distinction on the rules. There should be no debate as to what is a handball and what isn't a handball. That's why you have you still have to go by the referee's interpretation from when you go to VAR. So there has to be made a lot more clear distinctions in the actual rules of the game in order to fix that. And that's not something that can just be done very easily. But and I don't think it's going to be a problem that's fixed for a while. To be honest, I can't see it getting fixed. I think it's going to be a growing problem. I don't think VAR is going to be getting rid of anytime soon.
And like Greg, I'm just going to come to a comment with regards to the situation we've been talking about here, with regards to the referees and VAR. Kev has just said there in the comments, and it's very interesting. Kev said, should there be a bigger push for players to be fast-tracked into officiating, know the game and how it's played? Would you agree that maybe there should be a push for maybe ex-pros to maybe get their badges in refereeing?
I mean, potentially, but with the amount of stick and abuse that referees get, why would any pro want to go into that? If they were any good, they could, and if they had a voice or anything like that, they can get into punditry or radio, or they can get into coaching. There's so many more avenues to go down that's more enticing than being a referee. The referees don't help themselves at all. Like that one on Saturday, that Brighton one was worse than the Man United one, in my opinion. Like he blew the whistle, get them to take the free kick, hit the free kick, and then blew the whistle while it was in midair, as if the player was meant to stop it like some sort of force, stop it going into the net. Like it was awful. And then he just backtracked. It changed decision about 4 different times. I don't see why any player would want to put themselves into that situation where they're being, because we've heard, there was a clip a little while ago going around that it was Carragher reacting to what Stockley Park were saying, and it's not Stockley Park telling the referee to go over and look at the decision. It's Stockley Park telling the referee, this is what I've seen, this is what your decision's going to be, and then the referee has to overturn it. So they don't go like, oh, I think you should go and have a look at this, there might be something. There's like, oh no, we've seen something, this is what we want you to give, but go and check. And then they're just in their ear all the time telling them. So I don't see why a player would ever want to be put in that situation where they're going to be told by people that haven't played at that sort of level what's a foul, what isn't, what's handball and what isn't. I don't see that being a route. It would be great, it would be brilliant, but it needs to come up from the actual training of the referees and every Premier League referee over the summer. Because let's face it, none of those referees is going to the Euros. Not at all. There's not a Premier League referee in sight that's going to the European Championships to do refereeing. They're all awful. They make mistakes week in, week out. And they just need to be taken and effectively retaught. And there needs to just be a new grade of this is what a foul is, this is what a penalty is, this is what you're going to give. And there needs to be consistency. People wouldn't be annoyed with that Hudson-Odoi one if there wasn't ones where it was hitting people like while they were moving out the way from 2.5 yards away with the shot being blasted at them given. Like, people wouldn't complain.
Yeah, like look, it's the inconsistencies, they're continuing, and even with the technology, I think they're getting worse. The inconsistencies are getting worse, and you think that this technology, it's there to help them. It's there as a tool to help these referees to get these decisions right. But they're getting them even more wrong with the help of technology, which it's baffling. It really is. But again, like I called for this the other day. I think like if the Premier League, if they were to maybe get new referees and maybe draft some referees in from Europe who are much more efficient using the technology, I think that would be a lot better, and it would go a long way in terms of, helping the efficiency of these games and the decisions. And it just, I think, the more education for these referees, because there's so many there who, let's face it, they're very high profile referees, and they've made a lot of questionable decisions down the years. And I think that it's about time that maybe, they maybe take a step down from the Premier League, maybe still ref games in the Championship and the League One or whatever, but I think we need to see a couple of new faces in terms of the refereeing positions in the
They're
league.
too protected as well. They're far too protected. Like they brought out that thing last week that the clap the referees campaign, as if your players are going to or respect the referee campaign. It's all about giving the referee a round of applause and things like that when they come out. You're not going to get that at half time if you've just cost the other team a penalty that should have been a penalty. And there needs to be some sort of accountability. I've said this to you as well, Keane, that why don't we just hear what they say to VAR? We hear it in every other sport. Like you hear it in cricket, you hear it in rugby, you hear it in American football, you hear it in basketball. Yeah, the Australian football do it as well. You hear the conversation that's being had. So the people at least watching it at home know exactly what's happening and what they're looking at. And it just gives that accountability because you know who made the decision. And it's like the referees in the Premier League are so protected. They don't get any backlash. They don't come out and do media, which I completely understand, not coming out and doing media. But if you're not going to do media, you need to at least explain the decision to the people that you're also like conferring with to make your decision. If managers have to explain decisions about team selection, dropping players, buying and selling players, referees and VAR officials need to have that dialogue between each other on the pitch, and there needs to be some sort of accountability of who got it wrong. Because if those two people are called into an office, the VAR official and let's say Stuart Atwell are called into an office, right? Who got that wrong? Well, he didn't, and then the other one goes, no, he did. Nothing gets resolved. There can't, because no one knows. And the only people that know exactly what happened, exactly what was said on both of those decisions, the Brighton one and the Man United one, were the two referees and then the VAR official that they were talking to. No one else had a clue. So I don't know why there's not accountability for the referee. Why can't we just hear the conversation? You're not saying anything that we don't know. You don't, like, it comes up what you're checking.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I am in absolute agreement with you. Like, Joe, all great points. And I think, look, the FA are going to protect the referees. We all know that. The FA are going to do their absolute best to protect the referees and not put them in the limelight in any way of scrutiny whatsoever. It's just the way it is. And these new campaigns and all that, so I think, for me, they're just cop-outs, really. They're just cop-outs to the referees. But obviously,
they do get some serious abuse, though, man. Like that is the thing as well. You do have to advocate with that. Like you can't deny the level of abuse that referees get is like it's. You've got. I'm sure you've all seen it. From Sunday League level up to Premier League, even Champions League. It is genuinely horrible. Like the shit that gets sent to refs. Yeah. So you can't. There is a bit of a two-way thing to it. I'm not saying I'm not completely wiping it. Like they should be held accountable for their errors, but there's being held accountable, and then there's just being abused. Like there's a line, and I think people are sort of finding that line. I'm not saying you are, man. I'm just saying I think a lot of people are just sort of misreading it and going a bit too far with it. I think we need to find a middle ground with the referees.
Yeah, there needs to be a fine line, but then that's where transparency has to come in between the Premier League and the FA. That's what all this like it has to be transparent. Everyone has to be communicating, and I think that's where the flaws are.
Expect a level of consistency at that level, don't you? Like if you're managing in the Sunday League, you expect you're going to get a bit of stick for giving an offside decision that probably was borderline and stuff. But in the Premier League, with the tools they've got you, I know I was speaking to you boys before we went live, saying they shouldn't be getting decisions wrong. If it hits a hand in the penalty area, it's a handball. Like be consistent with it. Whether you get stick online on social media platforms, whether the players give you at halftime for the opposition team that's had the penalty given against them, it is what it is. If they were consistent, like Greg said, it wouldn't be debatable. But on the other hand as well, I think and this ain't a dig at Ollie to a certain extent, but I feel like you're hearing a lot of managers come out and say, now, it's cost us. But for me, I know I spoke to you off camera, Keane. Managers can't use that as an excuse, or they got a VAR decision wrong. Like, wait a minute, it's a 90-minute game. You know, you have got another opportunity to win the game. Like, I didn't really, not going to go in on Ollie at all, but he says, it cost us 3 points.
Ollie wasn't talking so much about the game there. But even he's talking that at a larger scale. Like, since I think what Ollie's talking about at a larger scale, since a certain manager from Merseyside came out with certain comments, Manchester United have only got 2 penalties in that time frame. Like they've only got 2 penalties in that time frame. And the amount of Stonewall penalties we've got this loud since then.
Yeah.
And they're like, you look at some of the penalties we got before them, they were worse decisions than that were given against us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
like what Eoin was just saying though, and Greg mentioned it as well. It's that level of consistency, ain't it? It shouldn't be about whether Klopp's on Sky Sports News complaining against Man U. If it's a handball, it's a penalty. It doesn't matter if it's bloody Oldham Athletic playing whoever, like it, or Man United playing Liverpool at Old Trafford. It shouldn't matter. Like if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. The rules are the rules, aren't they? I think Greg nailed it on the head. It's like if they had that level of consistency, we probably wouldn't be debating that sort of thing. We're like, you know what? We don't like it. If it's against our team, or if it's given for our team, we'll be happy or we'll be annoyed. But it's a penalty. Yeah. Nobody wants to concede penalties, but it's like that in between that Eoin was just saying there. It's like getting the decisions wrong, and it is a fine line with the abuse aspect as well. 100% agree with you with that. People don't talk about that aspect of it, but you see it. I played football at a decent level. The refs do get a lot of stick, but at the top of the creme de la creme of English football, the Premier League, you expect the decisions to be right, don't you? Particularly when they've got 7 or 8 screens to look at one incident. You know, we just have one screen for the television, so that's frustrating. But I thought you were spot on what you were saying there, Greg. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely, and fantastic points made by Greg in the comments. Do agree with that as well. But finally, because obviously, look, we do have to wrap up because our London show is literally going live in about 9 minutes. So I'm going to come to each one of our contributors here with regards to the starting 11s for tomorrow's game and score predictions. So I'm going to go to each one of the guys and who they think they should line up in tomorrow's game and what they think the final score will be. And so, Eoin, for yourself, what's your preferred starting 11 and what you think the final score is going to be for tomorrow?
I'd like to see Henderson get a run, but I can't see that happening right now. So I'm going to say Big David net. Wan-Bissaka right back. I don't think that's going to shock anyone. And then I'd like to see Bailly be brought in for this game because I think he'll probably start Lindelof against City, but I'd say Bailly to come into this game. Bailly, Maguire and Shaw. Midfield 3 into, I'd say, McTominay, Matic and Bruno, just simply because of what we have at the moment. And then front 3, I don't think Cavani is fit enough to play a full 90. I think you'll see him come on later in the game, so I don't think he'll start. I'd like to see Mason get another chance through the middle. So I'd like to see Mason start through the middle. And I don't think Dan James has done anything wrong to be dropped, so I'd have him still out on the right-hand side and Marcus on the left. And I reckon it's going to be. I'm going to go for a 2-0 United, just like last season as well. And I think I think it'll be comfortable in the end, but we will be nervous throughout it.
Yeah, this is one of them games like it's away from home. But I will say this: United and away from home this season, again that record is continuing. So I'm confident enough with kind of with the game itself. But Jamie, you're starting 11, and what do you think the final score is going to be?
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. Mine will be the same sort of team as Eoin. I don't think Cavani's going to be available. I think I'd love to see Mason go through in the middle as well, but I do think he'll go with Marshall just for that intricate play around the box. I think he'll go with him. I wouldn't personally. I'd go with Greenwood, but 100% agree. Dan James and the team that Eoin picked was exactly the same team I would go for. I think the scoreline will be. I think we'll concede. I think we'll win 2-1 or 3-1. I'm the same opinion as Eoin. I agree. We'll win comfortably in the end, but it's going to be a tough game. Like maybe first 60 minutes will be a tough one, but I reckon we'll have a little bit too much quality for them, hopefully, and we'll get the win. We need to win because I'm not expecting anything on Sunday against City, so this game's a must-win.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg, your predicted 11 and your score prediction?
The team would be pretty much the same. I think Henderson probably will play. I think there's a lot of pressure, especially coming into the summer for Henderson and for Solskjaer to make this decision on Henderson or De Gea. So I feel like when he can, he's going to give Henderson a game. Henderson's done nothing wrong either, so I can see Henderson playing. And then pretty much just the same rest of the team. Greenwood would be nice to see through the middle again. Dan James has done absolutely nothing wrong. He's been really good since he came to the team, so I think it'd be the same. For a score prediction, like Palace, what we need to remember, Palace are rubbish. Like, they are really bad. They don't score in the second half. I think it's over 60% of their games they've not scored a goal in the second half, which is like the third worst in the league or something. So I think if we get through that first half, let's say if we're 1-0 up, or if it's even 0-0, I think we'll probably go on to win it. I can see goals though, so I'm going to say I'll go 4-1.
Ooh, confidence personified there by Greg on his debut. I love it.
Yeah.
They're
not a good side. They're not. They've only kept 5 clean sheets. So
you do realise now you've said they don't score goals in the second half, they're going to bag in the second half, don't you?
They just don't. I don't know why. Probably because they're playing Benteke, who like runs out of steam after half an hour.
I'm in agreement as well. Like, I want to see Henderson play now. Like, it's time to give him a chance, isn't it? Like, I want to see him or Ollie be brave and say, you know what, we're not going to win the title. We're going to get in the top 4. Let's see what this boy's got about him, because I do feel like Dave's, although he's been fantastic, I do feel like we need to look at that area of the team and decide whether we need a new goalkeeper or we've got one already. So I'm in 100% agreement. I generally hope that happens as well.
Yeah, look, we see what happens. I think it's kind of hard to move mom and them wages, but we'll wait and see. But my starting 11, I'm going to go with Dean Henderson in goal. So I'd like to see Dino come in. I'll go Wan-Bissaka right back. By Maguire 2 centre halves, Luke Shaw left back. I'm going to go with my midfield 3. I'm going to stick with it, even though it definitely won't happen. But I'd like to see Matic, Van de Beek, and Bruno. Same front 3 as Eoin. I'll go with Dan James, Mason Greenwood, and Marcus Rashford as the front 3. I think Greenwood to get another goal through the middle. Could be against a team like Palace. He definitely could pick up 1 or 2 goals. And obviously Rashford on the left, Dan James on the right. I think Dan James actually, people laugh at me when I say this, but I think he's a player who can actually help us exploit City on Sunday because they're high line. He played well. He had both times he played there last season. So look, I think he's someone who can maybe help us with pace on the counter attack, especially the fact City are probably going to have maybe do 60-70% possession on the weekend. So if Dan James keep up the form he's keeping, so he can definitely play in certain games. Now, obviously, when the whole squad's fit, does he play? Probably not. But he's a player who can have a role within the squad and definitely can play a couple of games this season and have an impact in certain games. But my score prediction, I'm going to go with 3-1 United. I think we will concede from a set piece, and that's just nearly common knowledge. I mean, any goals we concede this season are coming from set pieces, so that's going to be no different. And I'm going to go with Marcus to get on the score sheet and my man Bruno to redeem himself again with a brace tomorrow. And that's Manchester United winning 3-1. But just going to give the lads a quick chance to shout out their Twitters and their YouTube channels as well. So, Eoin, where can our viewers catch you?
Yeah, Cockney Red 99 every Friday between 6:30 and 8:30 whenever I get home from work, really. Crafty couple, just going through the weekend's fixtures. Just give it a check out. Trying to get to 150 subs before Paddy's Day. If you could do that, I'm at 131. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Do check out his channel. I've been over there a couple of times. Amy from our channel is over there as well. Jamie's been there and as well. So do check that channel out. And Jamie, where can our viewers find yourself?
Yeah, just Jan Mackay 1989, my Twitter. Obviously, lucky enough to see my face on here quite regularly as well. So you'll catch me on here. But come and interact on Twitter, man. I've just got back on there after a nice little breakaway. So all for talking a little bit of football with some new followers. So building up a nice little community on my Twitter, getting lots of positive people talking United every day. It's good stuff. So yeah, if you fancy giving me a follow, drop me a follow and I'll follow you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Do catch him on Twitter. And he wasn't in Twitter jail like Donald Trump. He actually just took a month off social media. So that's he was gone for a while. But Craig, where can our viewers catch you?
Yeah, so it's just on my Twitter. It's at Greg_D_Chambers. Hopefully I'll be on the weekly armchair stuff going forward as well. Also do some writing for All for United, just a couple of articles and things like that, just my opinions and stuff on Man United. But yeah, just check that out. Come and interact on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. Do catch all the lads on Twitter. Do give all their handles there. Follow there on the screen. And look, as always, you can catch me on Twitter there at Keane_Franey as well. For all their Bruno Fernandes propaganda. And also, I do tend to wind up a couple of fans as well from time to time. I'm in that exclusive club. I've been blocked by Jason Mackett here as well. So very happy with that.
You need to get that on a t-shirt, like for all your Bruno Fernandes propaganda, like that as a quote. Like that needs to go on a t-shirt.
I think we're gonna have to get that going. Do you know what? When the shops are back open here in Clonmel when lockdown gets lifted and whenever it does, that's happening. And the Weekly Armchair logo is going to be on a Bruno's face, and then in bold letters for all your Bruno propaganda. That's going to happen. Trademarked by Copyright 99. But that's it. That's the United show. We've all given our teams all of our score predictions, and it's going to hopefully another 3 points for Manchester United, on the road to having another good season in the Premier League under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I do thank the lads for coming on as well. Thank everyone in the comments as well. You smash it in the comments. And if you want to watch more Weekly Armchair content, literally right now, the London Lowdown is just about to go live. Big Chelsea versus Liverpool preview. That's about to go live literally in a matter of minutes. So do check the lads over. Sean's joined by Steve. He's joined by Jack Doherty. And he's joined by William, where they'll be talking all of that, as well as other London Club related content. So literally jump off here, go straight over to our YouTube channel for another live show. And so thank the lads for coming on. And we'll see you in a while.